Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Mr. Wiz here. If you are new to this channel, we build video games. We have a lot of fun doing that. So I've already made an entire playlist here on YouTube of lessons that teach you how to build games in MakeCode Arcade. And right now I'm working through the extensions. We've already covered all the recommended extensions, and now we're looking at what I'd like to call secret extensions. These are extensions that you wouldn't know about unless somebody tells you about them. So these are extensions that either I have found or that students of mine have found online, and we learned how to use them, okay? So today's extension, we are learning about Lantern, the Lantern extension. This is a cool one, especially if you're building a game that's like a horror game or one where you just want to add a spooky element. This is a great extension for you. So right now, behind me is my Cherry Chaser game. So I made this a while back when I was teaching you guys about overlap codes and all that. So we created the chasing game. I did come back to it at one point and added status bar to it when we were learning about the status bar extension. Let me show you how the game currently works. So right now, I have a character who's collecting apples and cherries and trying to avoid the ghosts, and more ghosts spawn as the game continues. And what we're going to do today is we're going to add an extra spooky element to this game by making it dark, so it's harder to see the enemies that I'm trying to avoid. We're going to use the Lantern extension as part of that. It's going to be kind of fun, so you'll want to stick around for that. By the way, this is not exactly the same as the program that I had in the last video where I used it because I was dying too quickly. So I made the game a little bit easier for myself by giving myself more health at the beginning and making less ghosts. So that's why this game is a little bit easier than it was in the last video when I was doing status bar. Okay, so the extension we're doing is called Lantern. Whenever it comes to these secret extensions, the only way to download them is to paste the link to them in the search bar here in the extension section. So Control V, there is my link. I will share that link in the description for this video so you guys can access it there. And this is what the extension looks like. Once you click on it, it adds a new section to your toolbox called Multi-Lights. This is a pretty fun extension because there's actually two different ways you can use it. And we'll look at that here in a second. There is the circular light, which is basically a light around you. Think about if you were holding a candle or you were holding an old-time lantern, an oil lantern. It's going to light up everything around you. That's what the circle light does. Just like a candle in the dark, it lights up what's around you. The flashlight lights up things in a particular direction, such as in front of you is how most people would use that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. So just by downloading the extension, nothing has changed. The game's still playing the same way it was before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this toggle lighting. I'm going to put toggle lighting inside of my on start. And right now it still plays the same way it was before. But watch what happens when I toggle lighting to true. This is essentially turning the lights off. I'm activating the extension. Now it's completely black. I can't see anything. There's ghosts chasing me, but I can't see the ghosts. I can't see myself. I can't see anything. All right, so let's go ahead and start adding the new stuff. I'm going to move some of these blocks out of the way so I don't accidentally mess with them. And I'm going to be adding this stuff to the on start. So first, let's look at the circular light. This one's pretty easy to use. It just says add light source to or remove light source. So we're going to add a light source to my character. My character's name is Pack in this game. So I'm going to switch add light source to Pack. And look at what happens here. Now, even though the world is dark, I have a little bit of light around myself. It's not very much. It's not enough to see where the ghosts are. So this is not really going to help me in this game. So let's go ahead and click that plus sign behind it. And the plus sign allows us to set how wide the light is going to spread. So if 4 is the default and it's not giving us much view, we're definitely going to need it to be a lot wider than that. Let's see. I think I might try 20. Let's see what 20 looks like. There we go. So I can see better. I can see the ghosts, but I don't get a real good view of them until they're within my circle here. So this is essentially how that Lantern extension works, especially the circular one. I want you to notice there's actually two rings here. There's the inside ring, where I see everything perfectly clear, and then there's the outside ring, where I can only see the ghosts a little bit. When they're in the outside ring, I can see their eyeballs, but I can't see the rest of them. So it's kind of like dim lighting, right? So I have close light and I have dim light. So that's how that works. The number just changes how far the light spreads. Then after that, we have this one. Wait, no, that's... Okay, yeah. This one is to change it. So maybe in my game, I want the light setting to change at some point. Maybe a good option here. Maybe I could have a power up where right now I have two things in my game, one which gives me points and one which gives me health. I could easily change that health one. Which one gives me health? No, that one takes away health. Oops, health kind. Here we go. So maybe I could do something where instead of getting health, I get light. And then when I run out, after the time runs out, it goes back down. I could do something like that potentially, which would be pretty sneaky, but I could do it. Here, let me show you what I mean. Let's change when I click on the health. So I'm just going to imagine, I'm not going to change the picture, but let's imagine that the health bar is actually a candle. And when I touch it, it makes the light brighter. And after 5 seconds, the light goes dim again. So from 25 to 10. So this could be an element of my game. So I have to find, there it is. Aha, now I can see really good, but it only lasts for 5 seconds. Oh, now I can't see very well anymore. I need to find another apple. There it is, right? So you could incorporate that into a game as an element of the game, which could be kind of fun, right? So that's enough of that one. Remember, there are two different types of light. So let's go look at the other one now. I'm going to remove those two blocks since we're changing the lights. Delete that and delete that. Okay. So now instead of using the circle light, we're going to use the flashlight. So the flashlight is a little bit different. First thing we want to do is we need to attach the flashlight to the character. So I'm going to click on this option right here. And once again, I need to change the name from my sprite to the name that I actually gave it. And here I can set a couple things. I can set a direction for the flashlight. I can set a range for the flashlight. And I can set an angle for the flashlight. So let's look at the default settings. So these are the default settings. It's only pointing the one way right now. We can fix that in a minute. But it's only pointing the one way right now. So that is the angle, the direction, and everything that was set by default. And we can change those values, of course. So the direction is which way is it pointing. So 0 is that way. If you think about, we're dealing with degrees, right? So 90 degrees, it's a 90-degree angle. It's going to be pointing down. If I point up, that's negative 90, okay? All the way around, if I want to point that way, it's going to be 180. So I have 0, 90, 180, and then pointing up could either be negative 90 or it could be 180 plus 90, which is 270. So either of those numbers will point up. Here, I'll show you. So if I did negative 90 here, it'll point straight up. There it is. And if I did 270, it would also be pointing straight up. Because it's the same direction, whether it's negative 90 or 270, because we're dealing with a 360-degree circle, right? So light range is how far it reaches. Let's go ahead and change that to 50. Let's make it a little bit larger reach. And then the angle has to do with how wide the light spreads. Right now, it's only spreading at a 30-degree angle. So if you know your math, if you've done some angles in math class, 30 degrees is what we're dealing with right now. So we could go wider. We could go really wide. It's really up to us how wide we want to go. Personally, my favorite is 60 degrees. I feel like 30 is too narrow. So I usually do 60 when I use this extension. This is 60 degrees. But of course, you can go with whatever number you feel like looks best in your game, right? If you're thinking about a real flashlight, it's usually not going to be super, super wide, though. So if you did something like 120, that's pretty wide. That's wider than most flashlights are going to shine, right? So you want to find the thing that looks best for your game. So I'm going to switch it back to 60. Okay. So down here in the flashlight section, I do want to mention one thing real quick. Notice that a lot of these blocks, they let you change the flashlight, but the flashlight here has a name. We haven't named our flashlight. The flashlight doesn't have a name right now. So if you tried to use any of these blocks that we were just looking at to change stuff about the flashlight, you're going to get an error message. And there it is, right? So before you can use any of these other flashlight blocks, you first have to create a variable basically naming the flashlight. So I attached the flashlight to the character, and now I'm going to name it. So I'm going to set it, and I'm going to grab this bubble right here that says the flashlight attached to my sprite. And I'm going to change, of course, that to the name of my character, which was Pack. There we go. So now, here I attach the flashlight to the character. Now I'm naming the flashlight that is attached to the character. Does that make sense? So I'm creating the flashlight, and now I'm naming it. So now I can change things about it. So I can use this block to change the flashlight, and I can pick different things about it, like the light range, the direction, the angle range. So I can change different things about it. And in fact, that's what we're going to do next. Because for this style game, only having the light point in one direction is not going to be very useful to me. If you think about a game that you're playing, usually if you have the character has a flashlight, you want to be pointing the direction the character is walking, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put some on button presses, and we're going to use up, down, left, and right to change the directions of the light. And I'm going to do this real quick. So I'm going to set flashlight direction. If you're pressing up, it needs to point up, which we said was -90 or 270. If you're pressing down, we need it to point down, which is +90. Oop, I didn't mean to grab that. If we press right, we need it to point right, which we said was 0. And then if it points left, we need it to point left, which is the opposite of 0 on the wheel, which is 180. The opposite direction of 0 when you're talking about angles. All right, let's take a look at it. So now I have a character that when I walk around, I can see what I'm looking at, right? This is still a really hard game. So I know there's ghosts chasing me, but I can't see them. So for this particular game, probably that circle one that we looked at earlier would be a better fit. But the flashlight is still a great element for games. Think about if you were building a tile map game, or maybe it's a dungeon and you want the character to explore the dungeon. Flashlight is a great tool for that. It adds a little bit of spookiness to the game because the character can't see too far ahead, right? And you can always change how far ahead they can see. Right now, they can only see 50. Maybe you want to do 100. It's up to you how you decide to set that up, right? So there's 100. I can see a lot better. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the lantern extension. You pick what type of light you want, whether it's a circle light or a flashlight. You make sure you turn the lighting off like we did at the beginning here by setting the color, by turning the lighting to true. I know that sounds kind of backwards, right? Lighting to true means lights are actually off. I don't know. Basically, this is turning the lighting extension to true. That's what I like to think of it. Okay, so that's all I want to show you about that. This is pretty easy to use. I hope you have fun building it and adding some light and dark to your games, right? If you build something using this extension, I want to see it. So click on that share button right there. Copy the link to your game. Put it in the comments so I can check it out when you're done with it. If you learned something new today, please click that like button. If you are not subscribed to this page, please subscribe. And if you know anybody who you think would like to build games like these, please send them to my page. Recommending this page is a great way to help it grow. Okay, I will see you guys later. Have a great rest of your day.